My parents want to force me to give up my college savings to pay for my sister's apartment, but when they kick me out, they'll ruin their reputation with the family that hates them. My family has been going through a tough financial time recently, and considering the situation, I got a job to afford my college education. But my parents' expectations are unrealistic. Last week, they told me I should use my college savings to help my sister because she's about to move into a new place but is short on money. To give some context, my dad quit his job a few years ago to start a new business. Unfortunately, just when he started, COVID hit, and his business couldn't take off as he had hoped. But he didn't lose hope and kept working hard on it. He's still working on it, and little by little, things are improving, which is good news for him. However, that also means we haven't had enough money to maintain our lifestyle for a long time. My mom has always been a homemaker, so starting to work was unthinkable for her because it wasn't something she wanted to do. Our parents told us we had to find a way to live on our own. They would support us until we were 18, but after that, it would be difficult for them to save for their retirement and take care of us. They had already used a significant amount of their savings so we could live as we were used to during the lockdown and other times. So, my sister and I were expected to take care of ourselves after turning 18. A couple of weeks ago, I finally graduated from high school, and now I'm 18, so I knew I would have to cover my college expenses on my own. I had it all planned out because I had been working since I was 16 and had done a couple of internships. I managed to save up money from that, maybe not enough to cover all of college, but with a student loan, I could get by. My sister is 22 now and has just graduated too. She had taken out a student loan but didn't have any savings of her own. Even while she was in college, she didn't bother to work, which is her decision. I'm not going to judge her for that. But I am judging her for expecting me, her younger brother, to cover the rent for her first apartment now that she's moving out of our parents' house to work. She and some high school friends are renting an apartment, and all of them have already paid their shares, but she's short just a couple of $1,000s. She doesn't want to tell her friends that her family isn't exactly in a stable financial situation now because that would be quite embarrassing for her. Although I really don't understand that if they are truly her friends, why would they judge her? That's the reason why her friends can't cover her share for now, and then she would have to pay them back later. Our parents had already told us that after turning 18, we shouldn't expect any financial support from them. So, that leaves me. The worst part is that she didn't even come to ask me for the money herself. She told our parents that this was what she needed, and they took care of talking to me instead. To be honest, my sister and I don't get along very well. We're just very different, and I was a little relieved when she told us she was moving out because having her back after she graduated from college for a couple of weeks until she found a job was quite exhausting for me. Last week, when this happened, we were all living together. I'm starting college in a couple of months, and my uncle and aunt have already co-signed the loan. My sister was supposed to move out a few days ago, though I'm not sure what happened with that. 3 days before she was supposed to move, my parents came to my room and told me she was short just a couple of $1,000s. They knew I had been saving money for college, so they wanted me to use those savings for this and help my sister. They even assured me she would pay me back as soon as possible, though she could have spoken to me directly, which would have been much more respectful. To be honest, I didn't even know how she could afford the rent since, as far as I know, she hadn't worked a single day and didn't think she had any savings of her own. But apparently, she did just not enough. But that wasn't my problem, and I told my parents it was her fault for not working while she was in college, even though she knew our parents wouldn't support us as adults. Now, not being able to pay the rent for her first apartment was a problem she created herself and was going to have to solve on her own. Besides, covering my college expenses was much more important than her ability to move in with her friends. I thought my parents would be reasonable and understand why I didn't want to share my savings with her since, until now, they had never been the type of parents to treat my sister and me differently. But instead, they started making a fuss about how I was acting and told me I was being very selfish. They thought it would be easy enough to convince me, I don't know why. And when I refused to help her, they started fighting with me. After a really bad argument with my parents about this, my dad lost control. At one point, he told me that if I was going to be selfish and not share my savings with my sister, that would mean I didn't value my family as much as they expected. Then, they would behave accordingly. You can click on share and more to see if there is a part 2.